What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. This is a follow-up from my very last video, which was on cardio. And in that video, I presented the most common or useful forms of cardio, the pros and cons of each, and some details about those. But what I left out of that is your cardio prescription, or how to break this down, what your week should look like, or what your training cycle should look like. So what I hope to do with this video is bring some clarity to your prescription individually on what your cardio prescription should look like. So if you have any questions about what LISS or HISS or HIIT is, make sure you check out my last video, because I'm gonna bring some clarity on those in that video. But for this video, what is your prescription? What type of cardio should you be doing? How should you intermingle or intermatch these forms of cardio? How often you should do them? And all those questions I sort of left out the in-depth answer, because I wanted to make that very short. So in this video, I'm gonna bring some in-depth answers into how often you should perform each one of these forms of cardio and how to mix and match them, really. So let's dive into it here. LISS cardio, low intensity steady state cardio, is the first one we're gonna talk about today. And the reason I wanna talk about that first is because LISS cardio can be done anytime, directly before a workout, directly after a workout. It really doesn't matter. I'm also gonna talk about normalizing versus optimizing. Normalizing is just getting in better health, right? Getting in a little bit better shape. Optimizing is getting in the best shape possible. And it's important to distinguish the two, because we live in this gray zone and something is always better than nothing. You can never think to yourself, I'm all in or I'm not in at all. That's just not how it goes. That's not how it goes with your nutrition, and that shouldn't be how it goes with your training either. So talking about low intensity steady state cardio, my advice for that is if that can be a standalone, for sure. This can be the only form of cardio you do, and you're gonna get in better shape because of it. But optimally, you would do 225 minutes a week if it's a standalone. Now, as I get into mixing and matching, you're gonna see that you don't have to do 225 minutes a week of LISS cardio if you're intermatching some of the other forms of cardio. This can be broken up in 15-minute sessions, a minimum of 15 minutes, and you can do several 15-minute sessions throughout the day. But optimally, you do 45 minutes in a crack. And you would do that 5 days per week if that's your sole form of cardio. Now, the next one I want to talk about is high intensity interval training. This can also be a standalone form of cardio, and if you do no other cardio, this can be the thing that gets you there. And high intensity interval training can build muscle if you choose the right amount of resistance and you do the right amount of reps in the allotted time. Now, what is the allotted time? What is the optimal amount of time to do high intensity interval training? If that's your standalone, it's going to be 100 minutes per week. And if you want to optimize, you're going to do 20-minute sessions. So the minimum time you would do high-intensity interval training is a 20-minute sessions, and you would do that 5 days per week. You would do that 30 seconds on and 30 seconds off for 20 rounds, which equals your 20 minutes per day. And if you were to do that 5 days per week, that's going to equal 100 minutes. Now, why do we recommend 225 minutes of LISS and only 100 minutes or under half of HIIT? And that's because there's an afterburn effect with HIIT where it continues to burn calories long after you're done with the exercise, where low intensity steady state literally only burns calories as you do it. Now, burning calories isn't the end all be all, and that's not the metric for success. I'm never gonna say that cardio is efficient or inefficient based upon how many calories it burns, because that's just not the truth. Any form of cardio is going to improve your health. Low intensity steady state is going to improve your health. It's gonna help your heart function better. It's gonna help you recover from exercise. It's gonna help you assimilate food better. So it is necessary. High intensity interval training burns calories for long after the workout's over, and it takes a long time to recover from it. So if you're doing this as a standalone, you would only want to do 5 days a week, 20 sessions at 20 minutes per session. Okay, so that brings us to high intensity steady state cardio. Now the recommendation for that is going to be 40 minutes every 2 weeks, but you can do that every week if you choose a shorter session. Now that 40 minutes can be broken up however you want to break that up. It can be 30 minutes one session, 10 minutes another session for 40 total minutes. But it can also be done 20 to 40 minute sessions once a week or once every 2 weeks. So if you do 40 minutes of your high intensity steady state, maybe do that only once every 2 weeks. But if you do 20 minutes, you can do that one time per week. Now I have to bring this into scope here because high intensity steady state cardio is very difficult to recover from. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't touch this on anything else. And when I say touch this on anything else, let me bring some clarity to that real quick. This is a Monday through Sunday training protocol here. And since it's not recommended to do HIIT training on top of, let's say, hypertrophy, which is going to be on a Friday here, or strength training, which is going to be on a Wednesday here, unless it's separated by at least 2 hours. So if you do high intensity interval training and then you want to do high intensity steady state, that's fine, but you need at least 2 hours. You can do high intensity interval training, but I wouldn't do that on a strength training day since that depletes glycogen, and that's what you're going to use to contract your muscles. So bringing this more into scope, on Monday, if you were to do high intensity steady state cardio, you can combine that with low intensity steady state either directly before or directly after or sometime later in the day. That's the beauty about low intensity steady state cardio is you can do that anytime and it's not going to negatively affect any of your training because the heart rate is so low and the contractile force in the muscles is so low. If you were to do high intensity interval training on Tuesday as a standalone, that's going to be fine. Wednesday, if you're doing strength training and you want to do low intensity steady state, that would be a good idea. If you're doing hypertrophy on a Friday, you would want to do low intensity steady state that day. Saturday would be high intensity interval training as a standalone, and then Sunday would be low intensity steady state as a standalone. So if you look at this chart here, you can see how this is mixed and matched really well to form a complete training cycle. Now, cardio is not all you need. You do need some strength training and you do need some hypertrophy training, but that being said, you can get some strength training and some hypertrophy training with high intensity interval training if you pick the right amount of resistance and you get the right rep range for that. That being said, the way to optimize high intensity interval training is to do arms for 30 seconds, you take 30 seconds off, then you do legs, and you just repeat that for 20 minutes. That's going to keep your heart rate elevated and that's going to optimize. But like I said, something's better than nothing. You don't have to be an expert at this to get some advancement from it. Now this here is a pretty complete training profile here. Now, if you wanted to throw in more low intensity steady state on top of any of this, you absolutely could, but you're not required to do 225 minutes a week unless that's your standalone. You're not required to do 100 minutes a week here unless that's a standalone. If we mix and match, we're going to get really good results here as we think about this training cycle. Now, if we go into the extremes, and what I want to do for all my members here at the gym is make them functional athletes. Now, that means we don't go to extremes. If you were to go to any powerlifting competition, you're going to look around and it's going to appear to you that these people may have never worked out a day in their life. They look like big couch potatoes, and I'm not shitting on powerlifters. I'm just saying when you take it to the extremes, you can see how it's not viable in athleticism because they're one directional. Now, if you were to take that same extreme on the other end of the spectrum and talk about marathon runners, you would never pick out a marathon runner and look and think, oh, that person's in really good shape. They're thin, generally very thin. They look like they've never lifted weights, although they might lift a lot of weights, but their running schedule sort of depletes the muscles in a way where it keeps them very small. And they want to be small just for simple aerodynamic sake. They want to be narrow shoulders, and they want their muscles to be small so wind passes around them. And on top of that, they want to be very light. It takes less energy for a light person to run than it does for a heavy person to run. So you have marathon runners and powerlifters on different ends of the spectrum, but they're both one-dimensional. Now, if you bring that to the center and we're talking about athleticism, that's where a person's going to be functionally fit. A person with a high amount of strength, a decent level of muscle mass, with a functional, efficient cardiovascular system is going to be the holy grail for athletics. So if you want to be a functional person moving through the world as an athlete, which every person should consider themselves an athlete, in my opinion, and every person should work to have a good amount of muscle mass and have a high level of endurance and have a good amount of strength at the same time. And this protocol can really give you that. So that being said, I left a lot of stuff out for simplicity's sake here. I could really go on for hours about this. And as to not get caught up too much in the weeds here, I simplified it the best that I possibly could. So if there's any questions that you guys have about this or about any of my videos, make sure you comment in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to get those answered for you. So that's it for today. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you ring the bell so you'll get notified when my new videos are being put out. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you do all those things, it would mean a lot to me. That way you're always updated and connected with the latest information that I have to offer to you guys. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.